really do. You're a 21-year-old punk fucking kid. Grandpa's given you everything all your fucking life. You've never had a car payment, a house payment. Everything you live in was given to you by Grandpa. You fucking don't know what it's like to work for a fucking living like I do, to bust my fucking ass and do what I do. And you know what, Sean? You fucked me, and that's the way you got it. But you know what? Your grandpa's money will run out someday, and you'll have to feast for yourself. Get a fucking job, you piece of shit.
Welcome to Behind the Smoke podcast. My name is Sean Walchef, Cali Comfort Barbecue. We are here above the butcher shop, Valley Farm Market, with my man Derek Marceau. What's happening?
Same old.
Same old.
Except for we got some new fucking pictures up. That's pretty rad.
We did. We got. We have a little character in our podcast studio. We got these mixed tiles. They've been hounding me on Instagram and on Facebook, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna go ahead and try it out." And I think we're on our way. We're gonna do a photo with every guest, and then maybe get them to sign it, and kind of commemorate our barbecue journey with this podcast.
No, I think it's really cool. I mean, you came up with the idea. I didn't even know about it.
You didn't even know about it. Yeah,
no,
I didn't run it by you because I didn't want any resistance. I don't like fucking resistance.
Yeah, shit.
But we do want to send our love and our prayers up to our dear friends, the Gille family. It's been a tough week. One of our podcast guests, for those of you that did listen, we were so fortunate to record on the stage up at Del Mar Thoroughbred Club the night before the Del Mar Barbecue State Championship with Randy Gille, who had terminal cancer, and he passed away on Monday. And our thoughts and our prayers are with his family, his son Randy Jr. To be given that smoker to Gene and to you and to me to continue to do our charity work. For those of you that didn't listen to the episode, I highly encourage you to go back and listen. But the man, he is what we all aspire to be, and to live his life the way that he did. We were just so privileged to spend that time with him, and we're going to continue his legacy.
Yeah, for sure. It's one of those things where you hear it and you kind of know it's going to happen, but nothing can prepare you for that phone call when you get it. And we knew Randy was sick. We've known Randy for a while, and everything that he's done in the barbecue world and giving back to charities is what we aspire to be, and to try to fulfill his legacy and kind of do those things. It's been eye-opening, and I hope that we can just do our part and continue to do those things, because that's what's most important. It's not about us, and it's not necessarily just about Randy either. It's just about all of us coming together and giving back to those charities and people that are in need. And Randy Jr. is going to come down for our November 5th one, and he's going to come down and kind of help out and just do what his dad always did, because Randy Jr. does that as well. But yeah, like I said, as much as we knew it was going to happen, we still had that hope that maybe he could get his chemo and some miracle would happen. They gave him a couple months, and it only took a month. Yeah,
well, for those of you that haven't listened to it, I do highly encourage to go back and take a listen to that Randy Gille episode. It was a very special time to spend with someone that, like Derek said, giving money to charity is one thing, and philanthropy is another thing. When you're actually out there putting the work in and doing everything you can to make the world a better place. And that's how he lived his life, and that's how we're going to continue to remember him. We also do want to send our thoughts out to Gene, who had open heart surgery. I know he likes to keep things...
Stubborn fucker.
The guy's so fucking stubborn. That's why we love him so much. He wouldn't tell anyone about it. I think he had trouble even telling his brother about it. He kind of keeps everything as low key as possible. But there were some amazing people down at Sharp, Chula Vista.
Heck yeah, we brought him barbecue.
We brought him barbecue to all the nurses that took care of Gene. We appreciate that. He's recovering, and I know if he could be working the day after, he would be. But we told him that we need him to rest because it's a marathon and not a sprint. So our thoughts are out there with Gene, with the Gille family. And to go to a lighter note, we've got fight night. We've got fight weekend coming up. It's that time. It's that time. We're already one week into the NFL season, and we are fight night is upon us. And for those of you that listen to the podcast, we started this podcast because we want to talk about barbecue. We wanted to talk about marketing. We want to talk about entrepreneurship. We want to talk about all the fun voicemails that you get as a business owner. It's always great to see our guests' reaction. Ernie Hahn's reaction last week and Jeff this week, pretty fantastic. But Jeff Dotseth has been the voice in San Diego. Him along with Scott Kaplan, they've been on the airwaves keeping sports fans entertained for a couple decades now. And we find it so fortunate to call you a friend, to be part of the Fight Night crew with Jim Trotter and CS Keys. I give Derek shit all the time about being on Twitter and telling everyone that they need to be on Twitter and they need to, promote their brand and to be active and to be engaged. And if it wasn't for a couple tweets that you and I exchanged when you had your morning show with Dave Palais, we wouldn't have the friendships that we have. And Jim Trotter, he stopped by for lunch today at the restaurant and spent lunch with Derek and myself after a little golf game. And but here we are. Welcome, Jeff.
Hello, guys. Good to see you. Can I just say one thing quick, Sean, and whatever you guys want to cover, I will. But I don't know the Gille family, but it's funny. I spent a lot of time riding motorcycles, and I used to always joke with my buddies that guys that rode motorcycles, we considered ourselves in a silent fraternity. And my buddies that didn't ride bikes were like, shut up. And I was like, there is a silent fraternity amongst bike owners. Well, unfortunately, I kind of feel like that silent fraternity has now changed to people that have been affected by cancer. I lost my best friend a year ago to cancer. I lost another great friend, and you've seen it. And so when you talk about the Gille family, who I don't know, I'm telling you guys, those feelings come back immediately. So just for me and my family to their family, please accept my heartfelt condolences. I've been there. I know what that pain feels like, and it's miserable. He sounds like a wonderful guy. I'm sorry I never had the opportunity to meet him, but I hope I get the chance to meet Junior. Because, man, it all comes back, and you get it, and you know it. And I'm extremely sorry for your loss, but I really appreciate you guys having me in.
Well, we appreciate having you in because, no one can give us better perspective. We just started doing this podcast. This is our 20th episode, and we're so fortunate to have amazing fans that are listening all over the world.
Yeah, it's great, right?
To what's happening here, in San Diego with the barbecue scene. And, for Derek and I, him being a third-generation butcher, me running the barbecue restaurant, we've been so fortunate to have just incredible people on this podcast, and people like you that have spent your life in media, that get to actually relate with listeners and get to talk through things. And tell us about some of the cool shit that you've been able to cover in your last 20 years in sports media.
Yeah, I grew up here, so that was the really cool thing. The unique thing is, I got here when I was a 13-year-old kid in Cardiff, but went to San Diego, grew up in this area, saw the whole thing. And it's very, very rare in media, in a market like this, a top 20 market, where you've never been on the air and you go in your hometown. I never had to go to Bakersfield. I didn't have to go to Fresno or Montana.
Before we get there, I saw your LinkedIn profile, casino management.
Yeah, well,
so you went to school for casino management
at San Diego State.
Okay,
yeah, I went back because I knew how crazy sports radio was, and State had a casino management program. So
really?
Yeah, it was just a 2 year.
Okay,
but I loved it. It was great. Till I found out that because I wasn't born on sovereign soil, I had no chance of ever getting a job there. They didn't tell me that until after they cashed my check. But at least I can put State on my...
Sponsored by Saquon?
Yeah, all those guys.
God, it was great. Money that runs through those casinos.
Isn't it crazy?
Holy Jesus Christ. It's unreal.
But it's real funny. And, you talked about it, the friends, it started for me at Del Mar. It started for me at Del Mar. Del Mar is a really special
crazy.
place to me. When I was 17 years old, I may have only been 16. I got a job slinging tip sheets out front.
Wow.
So there were 3 old school, legit old school carny dudes that traveled the circuit. Yeah, Bob. And they had, oh, Bob. And then we had this other dude. His name was Jake. And he would say, no card's better than the other, Ernie's. And people were like, what? And he would always try to hit me up. He'd say, you should go down to North Park and get breakfast at the Hare Krishna restaurant. Because he'd say, when you get past their sales pitch, they have the best fried potatoes in San Diego.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm 16 years old. And I'm like, Derek, it was the greatest. I soaked it all in. But a buddy of mine from high school, who now is fighting his own battle, would come out and we would go out to the infield. I always say to people, if you go to Del Mar, the greatest vantage point is to go as far north in the infield as you can get, especially on a turf race, because the silks have changed. In those days, they were nylon, windbreaker types, and you would hear them snapping as they came the turn, and you would hear Pat Valenzuela, look, get the fuck out of here.
Right.
And you're like, whoa, what a perspective. And me and my buddy Joel Rotz would sit out there, and he said to me, you got to get into radio. And I was like, shit, man, I might as well be an astronaut. I'm not going to do this. But he persisted. He stayed on it. And
why? Just because you were fucking around all the time, or
he just believed in me, man.
That's awesome.
He legitimately believed in me when I was 16 years old. And he's not some old soul. This dipshit was 17, 18.
Yeah.
But an incredibly successful guy of his own. So from there, it's just where you start connecting the dots and you start making phone calls and you grind. Mm-hmm. And I grinded and I got a job as an intern with the Sockers.
Okay.
And didn't miss a game in 2 years. Drove a motorcycle every night from Cardiff to San Diego in the rain, whatever it took.
It's the sports arena.
At the sports arena.
What year?
89, 90, 99.
So right before Ernie got there.
Yeah.
Ernie got there in 91, he said.
Yep, 89, 90, 90, 91. And I met Ernie shortly after that. So
you got to hear Ernie's podcast.
Oh, I will. He's one of my favorite guys.
Fantastic. There's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, he's great.
That was when the blowjobs were still going on with the...
Blowjobs for tickets.
Listen to that quote.
I will go. Shit, I may just end this one short. Claim the flu. Yeah. But it's the thing, Sean, that I always tell people, and I guarantee you it applies in this world too. You have to figure out, either I'm going to go for it because nobody's just going to come open up this door, and they go, you know what, guys? We need you to take your podcast to New York City. If you want to do it in New York, you better figure out a way to do it.
Get your ass there.
Right? And so I started grinding the phones and writing letters. I spent 2 years with the Sockers. I still think I was the only intern in that team's whatever year history to get 2 championship rings. They liked me, and Ron Fowler, of all people, gave me 2 rings.
An intern getting a ring, that's fucking great.
Yeah, I got 2 of them.
That's great.
And the crazy thing was, I always knew at that point that those were going to go to my sons, and my sons didn't show up till I was 40 years old. I was a kid, but I always wanted to, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, crazy. I'm going to have boys, and these rings are going to, I'm just the gatekeeper until they get them, and now it worked out. But I got a job at a radio station called KSDO, and they put me on the board. And I always say to people, if you ever saw Frasier, it's what Roz was doing. And you're, goddamn, I'm going to try to stop knocking your windscreen over. I had never been in a radio studio in my life. I had 2 days of training, and they say, go. So now I'm controlling everything.
How old were you?
God dang, 23.
But you knew you wanted to be in radio.
I knew I wanted to be in
sports radio or just radio?
I wanted to be on the FM.
Okay.
Because our FM was KCLX. And the guy who had the biggest influence on me in my career was a guy named John Leslie, the late John Leslie, who was on KGBN on KCLX. And I would go and pull CDs for John and just watch him work. I always wanted to be on the FM, but I worked on the AM. And this is my radio story that I tell everybody, and I'll try to keep it quick. I worked with a guy named Ken Kramer, who you see do About San Diego on KPBS. Ken was the only liberal voice on a radio station that had Rush Limbaugh, Roger Hitchcock. You get it. So every radio station has a 9-second delay. So if somebody cusses, you have the ability to hit what they call a dump button. And that dump button erases the last 9 seconds and it never goes out over the air. Well, my boss hated the dump button because he said it screws up the conversation, don't do it. What he believed in, which was the other alternative, which is a tone button. And the tone button, you have to change from live to delay. You have to wait to hear exactly what's coming across, and you have to have perfect timing and tone out the cuss word. That would
Good luck.
Right?
Good fucking luck.
So guys would call Ken Kramer's show, and they would say, "Hey, Ken, how you doing?" "I'm fine." And I would fucking tune out. And be looking around or whatever. And the next thing you know, you would hear, "You know what, Kramer, you fucking liberal." And now I panic. Jesus.
Right.
Jesus. So I got to pull this guy down, and now I go to air, and I'm just guessing. So I'm like, go. Well, what happened probably 25 times on your Saturday and Sunday afternoon drive around San Diego is you'd hear Kramer, "You fucking liberal." And
That sounds like great radio. I would listen to that.
Yeah.
I would
Well,
listen to that. That would be fucking fantastic.
Yeah, I think people figured it out. And so Ken Kramer, who's the nicest guy in the world, would always say to me, softly on the talkback mic, "Jeff, did we get that?" And I'd always give him the thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Totally nailed it.
Nailed it. But in the studio where I was, we did news updates too. So the phone wouldn't ring. It was a strobe light right over my left shoulder. And this strobe light would go bang, bang. And I'd be like, shit. Studio. And my boss had the funniest cadence. "Jeff Kelly." "Oh, hey, Kel, how's it going?" "Well, all of San Diego knows Ken's a fucking liberal." What?
What? What are you talking about?
Yeah, you missed that one, buddy. You missed that. And so somehow,
How the fuck did you get? How did you get from there? How'd you keep your job?
so they asked me to fill in on Roger Hitchcock's show. Hitchcock was the biggest prick to everybody in that radio station. They hated him. But I'm the weekend guy that just fucking tells
You're
everybody.
just doing whatever the fuck you can.
Right.
You're just getting your feet wet, and however I can learn, just fucking do it.
That's it. So I go in to fill in on the Hitchcock show. And it was old school radio. You'd break it 15, 30, 45 in the top. It's all hand signals. And if you can visualize, if you're taking your two hands like you're breaking a stick in half, and then ditch your left hand and just take that right hand like you're breaking it. You're just shaking that fist and you're going boom. So I'm doing the first day with Hitchcock. Doesn't say jack shit to me when he walks in. Doesn't say shit to me. So he's going on his topic, and it gets to be about 15. And I make eye contact with him, and I just give him 1. I don't do it 5 times or 3. I just look at him and I 1. And I put my hand down. And he keeps talking. And I keep looking at him. And he keeps talking, and I keep looking at him. And at about 19, he goes to me, "Do I need to take a break?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "All right, we'll take a break." And he said to me, the first thing he said to me is, "How come you weren't doing this with your hand at me? How come you weren't doing that?" And I said, "Well, you're here every day. I'm not." And I said, "Plus, I liked what you were saying." And he's like, "Oh." So now, show ends. I go home on my shitty motorcycle. And my boss calls me, "Hey, what happened on that Hitchcock show?" And I'm like, "Jesus Christ, what? I didn't do anything." I go, "I don't know." He goes, "Well, you're his guy every day starting tomorrow."
Get the fuck out of here. No way.
Yeah, he goes, "You're his guy." And the
Really?
guy who did it got bumped to overnights. And the last
Oh,
time I saw that
fuck.
fucking guy, he was giving out samples at Costco. True story.
Get the fuck out of here.
So Hitchcock to me was such a good dude. And this story I will always remember. Roger used to bring everybody in that was running for political office. And at this time, we had about 5 or 6 guys that were running for mayor. And in a small studio, kind of like this, if we had 6 mics running right now, you get a lot of crossfeed. And so I'm watching it, and I'm riding mics, one up, one down, one up, one down, watching Roger, watching eyes, boom, and you're watching it. My program director, who, by the way, has never been on the air to this day, and I have no respect for her, because until you've fucking done it, fuck off.
Sure.
She comes in and she starts giving me shit because I had missed a feed for a show that runs at 2 a.m. on a radio station that had a 3,500 watt signal.
Get the fuck out of here.
3,500 watt signal. I said to her, I got it. I know ABC. I'll get a refeed. I can't do it now. She keeps bitching at me. I'm making $7.25 an hour. And I said, she pissed me off so much that I just said, you know what? That's it. And I went in to my boss, Kelly Wheeler, still a buddy of mine to this day. And I took my gate card, which was like a credit card, and I just fucking flinged it at him. And I said, you know what? I fucking quit. I go, fuck that. I'm not, true story, I'm not putting up with this shit. I walked down, and here's Hedgecock walking to his cherry red Mustang. And I said, hey, man, I just wanted to thank you for everything you did for me. I've had an incredible time, and I appreciate the experience. And he's like, what? And I explained to him what happened, and he goes, oh, okay. I go home, and about 3 hours later, my phone rings. It's a Thursday night. My boss, Kelly. And he said, hey. I go, hi. And in my head, I'm like, what the fuck did I just do? He goes, are you coming back? And I go, yeah. And he goes, all right, take tomorrow off. I'll pay for tomorrow. And he goes, you're back Monday. And I go, yeah. And so Monday I show up, and I go into my studio. Hedgecock walks by, and he goes and sits down, and he just puts on the mic. He goes, you good? I go, yeah. And we just did the show. Nothing else was ever said. But what I heard later on from 2 different people is Roger went in and raised hell on my behalf.
That's right.
And said,
That's fucking
don't ever
rad.
fucking go in his studio again. Leave him the fuck alone. And you better fucking get him back here, or we're going to have problems.
Yeah.
And I said to my boss, I go, it's not about money. I'm trying to make that show sound good. Let me do it.
And Roger respected that. He saw that in you.
Yeah.
Like, you're the first person that actually fucking got it.
Yeah. And now, because he would talk about Susan Golding, and I would go and scramble and find the Everly Brothers and go to break with Wake Up Little Susie.
Yeah, there you go.
And he would be like,
He would fucking love it.
he
Totally
was into
dig it. Yeah.
And Willie Brown was the governor at that time, or was doing something, was the mayor of San Francisco. And I would always play Little Willie, Willie Won't Go Home. I'd find all this different shit to just kind of go to break with to see if he would get it. Going back to the Gille family. We had a woman come in named Nicole Pearson who did traffic forever. And she started doing traffic at KSDO. She and I hit it off immediately. She calls KFMB and says to a guy over there at KFMB, goes, we got a fucking guy here that they're not using, and you got to get this guy in your building. KFMB calls me and said, we want you to produce Padre Baseball. And I go, shit, man, I'm having fun on Roger's show. And I went to Hedgecock. Now, people hate him in this town, but I'll tell you this, true story. I went to Roger and I said, I've been offered this gig at KFMB, and I don't know what to do. And he said, if you don't take that job, I'm going to fire you, so you have to take it. So he goes, it's one or the other.
He sounds like my kind of man.
Right, Derek?
No fucking bullshit.
No bullshit.
Filter. No filter. No fucking bullshit.
He would have, guys like fucking.
Because he'll be loyal to you forever.
The great, and I'm loyal back to him.
Absolutely.
Loyal back to him.
You earned that from him.
I sure hope
Yeah.
so.
Well, he wouldn't stick up. He's the kind of person that's, I don't even know who he is, but he sounds like, you know,
Well,
the
he
people
was the
that
former
we want
mayor
to.
of San Diego. Yeah, he was the former mayor of San Diego. He was Rush Limbaugh's main fill-in guy for years. A very, very difficult reputation. But if you were committed to making the show sound good, and he knew I had his back, but he had mine. And there were late nights downtown that we had fun on. And
sure.
Out of my love and respect for him, I won't say another word about it. But I respect him to this day, what he did for me. And that opened the door for me at KFMB, and the rest
And then the
worked out pretty
KFMB,
well.
how did you and Dave meet?
That's what's really funny.
How did that come about?
I was at KFMB. I got hired as a producer. So I produced Padre Talk.
Had you ever been a producer before?
No.
Yep.
Nope, had never done it. And the guy who had been there before me was booking guys like the financial director of the city of Peoria to talk about the financial
Really?
impact of sport. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. And I worked for Hank Bauer.
Nice.
And Hank and I butted heads so much early on because I was coming from a point where it was like, we got to know who we are. And Hank just would drive home the point every day. Think big. Think big. We can win at this. Think big. And we go back, and I fucking love Bauer so much because he made me think big. And when he did, our show got pretty good. But my favorite night with Hank is Hank is a hustler in the greatest sense of the word, like Kaplan is.
You don't. The thing I love about football is special teams. Because no one wants to fucking play on special teams. But the people that excel on special teams, like a Hank Bauer or a Kasim Osgood, they make their fucking name on special teams because they do everything that no one else is willing to do.
That's it.
They'll go there, the wedge buster. I'll go fucking, I mean,
yeah.
You knew fucking crazy people at K-State.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
But Derek, how many coaches did you have that kicked you in the balls and you didn't go home and cry about it? You were just like, it's fucking a Tuesday.
I listen to people tell stories now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I literally tell them, kind of like out of respect for my coaches, I won't even tell you what my coaches used to do to us. But never a day did I ever feel that, like, this is just what we did.
And that's when you can tell guys that have never either played sports or been the 24th guy on the bench.
Right.
Where you're like, dude, that's Tuesday.
Right?
That's been Tuesday since we were ninth grade. Stop getting your feelings hurt. Stop being a pussy.
Yeah.
Right. When they're telling me these stories, I'm like, that's like the best compliment my coach could have ever given me. Like, that was like the nicest thing I've ever heard.
And that's why Hank and I would go round and round and round, but we always knew that we both wanted to win. I never was offended by it. I'd yell at him, he'd yell at me. Guys he would yell at would fucking not come into work for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So my favorite story with Hank was Hank grinded and made relationships and friendships. And he made a friendship at TaylorMade with a dude named Steve Mata. And Steve Mata, Steve's been around forever. So Steve would get us different golfers on the show, and they would show up every Wednesday night in the TaylorMade report that Hank single-handedly put together. So Hank in 96, think about the time frame, 96, starts promoting the fact that in 2 weeks, we're going to have Tiger Woods on the show. Next Wednesday, we're going to have Tiger Woods on the show.
Fuck yeah.
Wednesday shows up, and it's the day of the Heaven's Gate massacre.
Holy shit.
And
Holy fucking shit.
And our boss, Cliff Albert, Hank rolls in like he always did, carrying a stack 3 feet high of papers and all kinds of shit. Hank rolls in at 5 o'clock, and Cliff Albert says to us, no show tonight, guys. And Hank goes, we got fucking Tiger Woods in 96, guys. Remember.
Yeah.
Right. No, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Hank knew that this guy, and we knew, like, this guy's going to be legit. He's going to be special. No, guys, no show. This is a big story. And Hank
fucking
goes,
Haley's comment.
Yeah. Hank says to Cliff Albert, Jesus Christ, Cliff, they're still going to be fucking dead in 2 hours. I got Tiger Woods. So Hank goes into his studio. I'm in my studio. And we sit there, and all of a sudden the hotline starts ringing. Hank keeps his room dark. I keep my room dark. It's just fucking blinking. And I go, shit. And I answer it. And he said, hey, Tiger Woods. And I go, hey, Tiger. I said, maybe you heard there was the Heaven's Gate massacre. He goes, yeah. I go, hang on, I'm going to let you talk to Hank. So Hank's like, look, we'd love to do this and everything else, but we got this Heaven's Gate massacre.
And you couldn't record remotely at that time. Where
no, we could.
Oh, you
we
could?
Oh,
we're
fuck. That's the fucking worst thing, Sean.
Fuck.
I never mentioned it to Hank.
Jesus. You're like, oh, fuck. Well, let's just do the interview now, and we'll record it and play it fucking later.
We could have done the whole thing.
fuck.
But in the moment, you're not thinking
in the moment, you're like, we just fucking blew it. We just blew
completely different time.
Oh, shit.
And Tiger Woods said to Hank, don't worry about it. We'll do it a different night. And Hank and I still stay in contact, and I always say, Tiger called back in? No, shit. I'll let you know. I'm like, okay, he calls back.
Yeah.
Let me know. But we had kind of gone as far as we could go with that show, and I just kind of had hit the wall, and I just was done. Kevin Kernan had done the show from New York with Hank. He went back to the New York Post, and guys that came in just fucking kissed Hank's ass. They got rid of my board op, so I was going to have to produce and run the board. I didn't want to go back to running the board. I just said, fuck, I'm done. But really the guys that made it happen were Jagger and Christie.
Yeah.
Jagger and Christie, of all people at 92.5, saw something in me when I didn't ever have any intention of being on the air. And they would put me on Star 100.7 twice a week to
Really?
talk sports. Mark Jagger and his wife. And a guy named Tracy Johnson, I said, look, I'm done. He goes, all right. He goes, let me ask you something. You ever want to go on the air? I don't know. I never really thought of it. He goes, no, man, I'm putting you on the air, and I'm putting you on the air with Palais. Palais had only been our Laker reporter. I barely knew him. And so August of 98, August 1st, 98, it'll be 20 years next summer. They put us on the air at Chargers Fan Fest. We do our first show in front of a crowd of 5,000 people. There are 5,000 people watching two guys that barely know each other that have never been on the air.
Wow.
And our first guest was Ryan Leaf. Our second guest was Kevin Gilbride.
Ryan Leaf and Kevin
Yeah.
Gilbride?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But what makes that show work
Wow.
that people don't understand is at the start of that show, Dave owned it. So Dave owned it. He would come out to Cali Comfort, try to sell advertising, and he'd come out to Valley Market and try to sell advertising. And then he would pay me out of that. And we were fucking broke. He borrowed $700 from his sister so I could pay my rent.
Wow.
So when you're the only two fucking guys that believe in the show, you're fucking broke.
Yeah.
You're like, you're loyal to each other.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
there was a sales guy. We did commercials for Dixon Ford, and there was a sales guy from KFMB. Like, KFMB gave us a list of, it had to be 1,000 businesses that they either advertised with or were thinking of advertising with that we couldn't talk to. So there were a couple of guys that were on there that we got that kept us above water. One of them was Dixon Ford in Carlsbad. And all of a sudden, this fucking sales guy from KFMB goes up and tries to undercut us and goes to Dixon Ford and says, hey, come on, KFMB, and we'll figure out something later with Dave and Jeff. So me and Dave get this dude in his studio, and I fucking lay into this guy. I'm like, I'm going to break your fucking neck in this fucking room. The guy literally started crying.
Yeah.
He started crying.
Because you're a piece of shit.
And you're fucking,
you should be
that's
fucking
my
Yeah.
livelihood.
Yeah. I'm like, you're not fucking leaving here with
Yeah.
as many teeth as you have, you motherfucker. I go, I don't work here. They can't fire me for beating the dog shit out of you like I'm going to beat you down right now. And I think that was the other thing. But
I mean, is it crazy for you to think? I mean, because one of the things we talked about on this podcast is the marketing, and you know, when we went
Yeah.
up to Scott Kaplan and we talked to him about his sales force, with the people up there, when salespeople come to Derek and I to pitch, us advertising on the radio,
Sure.
everything is different today
Totally
in
different.
2017.
Totally
it's
different.
so much fucking different, and the freedom that you have as a podcast, the Dave and Jeff podcast. I mean, listening to you go on and start that Dave and Jeff podcast, that was an inspiration for us to start this.
Nice.
Because when
Good.
I listened
for sure.
to it, I was like, fuck, like I've been waiting for radio. I want truth. Like
Yeah.
I'm fucking so tired of the filter that I have to see TV through, that I have to listen to radio through. I'm so fucking tired of the bullshit.
We're sick of agendas. Like I
Right,
don't need anyone to
exactly.
fucking push an agenda on me.
That's it.
Sean and I'm like, I'm not going to allow any huge sponsor, anything like. Don't push an agenda. We're just going to have freelance talk to people, bullshit, and give them 100% transparency. And with that, with an organic feel, you can't beat it.
We had a podcast the other night with Mike Pomerantz from Fox Sports San Diego.
Yeah.
People don't realize that on 9/11, Mike was the morning anchor at WCBS Channel 2 in New York.
Wow.
WCBS was the only TV station that had their antenna on the Empire State Building. Everybody else was on the World Trade Center. So when the towers came down, the only local station available was Channel 2. Nobody could get into the city. Mike Pomerantz, who you watch
Unbelievable.
every night with Mark Sweeney, did 11 straight hours that day. And nobody knows that story. And I can't tell that story on 1090 because Mike Shepard's a dipshit. Mike Shepard has no sports knowledge. He doesn't understand AM radio. He doesn't understand talk radio. Mike Shepard came from country radio, and now all of a sudden he's going to tell me, right, who grew up in this town, how we're doing talk. He's going to tell me what it's my fucking job, right, to make Mike Pomeranz interesting to you, and absolutely, I know I can fucking do it. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
When you sit down, Shep, and show me how to do 2 hours, or show Kaplan or Cilio or Darren how to do a 2-hour talk show. Let me sit here and watch this bullshit. Fuck him.
Yeah.
And a guy at 1360 is Brian Long. Brian Long has no interest in San Diego. Brian Long came to San Diego because he believed it was going to springboard him to L.A. or to Fox Sports L.A. Guys, I worked for Brian Long for 2 years at 1360. He never knew the call-in number to the radio station.
That's fucking crazy.
He would say, you know, when you have Derek and Sean on and you're trying to get calls and you're like 1-800-710-ESPN, and I would always say to him, okay, I'll give that fucking number out, but that goes to ESPN in LA. They're not going to know who the fuck Derek and Sean are.
Yeah.
You know what I fucking mean. You know what I mean. I'd say it to him every time. You know, when you got the guy, you know, when you have Kaplan on and you're like, hey, give us a call, 800-710. I go, the fucking guy in LA is going to kill me if I keep giving that number out.
Right.
You know what I fucking mean. How do you not know the phone number? Because you don't care.
He wasn't vested. He didn't give a fuck.
No. If you're not vested, then it becomes overproduced.
Correct.
And it becomes, when it's overproduced. I mean, we talked with Stacey Poonkinney, she was on Restaurant Impossible, and she was also on Food Network Star. Food Network Star was overproduced. Like, they told her how to act.
Totally.
Because they wanted to create conflict, because conflict drives
all day
ratings.
long.
And
she's like, I can feel it. She's like, I can feel myself not being organic. And she's like, I know it's going to come off fucking horrible on TV.
It's exactly what you're told every day on talk radio. Nobody wants to hear Derek and Sean get along. Nobody wants to hear Dave and Jeff get along.
No.
And I would say
it's point counterpoint, right? I mean, you pretty much have to take a counter opinion.
But I would say,
because they think that that's how it drives ratings.
I would say, I know this guy so well, I think he's a fucking idiot.
Right.
And with him sitting in the same room,
right,
I'd be like, he is the dumbest fucking guy I know. Believe me, it's good. We may start off on the same page, and he's going to say something, and it's going to be 100% real. But if you want us to come in and be like, dude, what side do you want? Well, I'll take the side that Dean and John are great. And it'll be like, all right, well, fuck it. Let's have fun.
Let's do it.
And we just got to the point where it's all bullshit. See, that's the thing that people don't want to believe, guys.
No.
It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all show business because, and I understand why. You have to protect the business relationship.
Well, you have the sponsor that's been spending this certain spend per year. And
absolutely.
The person that, the top sales rep, they've cultivated this relationship.
Yeah.
We have to protect that.
Now, I had good guys. I was lucky. Mattress Firm, which was Sleep Train, treated us incredible. Sleep Train would hook you up with a bed. Every year, the owner would come to San Diego, bring you a bottle of Dom Perignon, and thank you for what you did. I mean, you mattered to Sleep Train.
Yeah, because they made it, even though they were spending money, they cared about you.
Without a doubt.
And that changes the entire relationship.
Without a doubt.
It's the same way as we're a sponsor with Valley View Casino Center. We're also a sponsor with the Gulls.
Yeah.
But we don't view it as, we're spending them money. They need to do something for us. It's
a marriage.
We're all in.
Absolutely.
With them. We're fucking all in with the Gulls. We're all in with Valley View Casino Center.
Yeah.
Like, what can we do to help Ernie? And what can we do to help, Matt Savant? Like, how do we help that relationship? And it changes everything.
And I'll tell you the other way it changes. And I won't say the name of the cigar shop. But we did commercials for a cigar shop where we were literally making about, I swear to God, I think we were making about $9 a read. We weren't making shit. Mm-hmm. But we thought, Sean, along those same lines, that you were family with this guy. So we would go there and we would hang out. We talked about, we would go over the top. And on the day we got blown out, August 12th of 2016, I was just done. I'd been through a lot. I just didn't want to do it anymore. And the funniest thing that Dave laughs about, Think about how many times you guys have probably had to let people go for whatever reason.
Yesterday.
Shit. Okay.
Right.
Yes,
So
last weekend.
think in your mind, Derek, how long that went, because I'm going to ask you the question. We go off the air at 9:58 on Friday, August 12th, 2016. At that time, it's me. Hi, it's Chef Dotseth. Be here Monday morning. We recap the Charger game. First thing, 6. Dave and Jeff on your home of Charger football. Extra 1360, and my boss walks in the door. And he walks in the door, and he's got a manila folder. And as he's talking, he's like, hey, guys, it's the end. I reach over into my bag, and I pull out my gate card. As he is talking, it's a badge that you wear around your neck. I am wrapping this thing around. I put it here.
You're going to throw it at him again?
No, my headphones are off. It's in my bag. And I said to him, is that for me? The manila envelope. And he goes, yeah. And I go, great. This is for you. I appreciate it. We had a great time. The show ended at 9:58. I was in my car at 10:03.
That's fucking crazy.
How long?
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I was in my car at 10:03.
I mean, you talk about it on your podcast, which, that's why I as a listener love listening to it, because you don't have a filter. You guys are free. You can talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about, and you get amazing content. You get amazing stories. I'm so sick and tired of fucking listening to things getting like, I'm tired of. I don't even have a subscription to the Union Tribune anymore because I can't fucking read it.
How many stories do we have to read about the guy, the average everyday
I can't
Joe?
Fucking read
that's
it.
still gonna. Who gives a shit about
I spent
Robert
my whole
Cortez?
life reading that paper, and I can't do it anymore.
No.
I just can't do it.
And I'll say this: I got blown out at CBS. I got blown out at Fox Sports Radio.
Yeah.
I got blown out at KFMB. I'm friends with every one of those guys.
Yeah.
I thank them for the opportunity. I said it's been an unbelievable run, and I can't tell you how much and hopefully down the road we get to see you again. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. So when I give shit to Mike Shepard or I give shit to Brian Long, it's because they're dicks.
Yeah.
And they don't know shit about San Diego or San Diego sports radio. And I guarantee you they drive Kaplan nuts.
Oh, I mean,
but you can feel it too. You can feel that.
And I haven't talked to Scott in years. But
we talked to Kaplan, about him. We talked about the Mighty 1090. We talk about there's going to be a point when this shift happens, and this shift is going to be so fucking significant.
They should kiss his ass for what he does for that radio
they
station.
They should kiss his ass,
and they spit on him.
But it's not only the Kaplans, it's the Jim Trotters. Like ESPN needs to do a better fucking job. CSK, they need to do a better job of promoting their talent.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why when I see Jim Trotter puts on a story, I want to follow Jim
because he's family.
Yeah. Because he's family and he does a fucking great job as a journalist. I want to follow Jim, so how do I follow him? How do I follow Jeff?
Yeah.
But the problem is it's always going to be, how do we protect the station? And how do we protect the sponsors?
Well, people freak out because when I got here in 81, I have a brother who's 4 years older. So I was 14, my brother was 18. My brother said to me, look, we got to make a goddamn decision. We're either going to be cheering for a team that has Marcus Allen and Howie Long and Lester Hayes and Mike Davis and Matt Millen, or we're going to cheer for a goddamn team that has Jim Lazovic and Lyndon King and Hank Bauer. And my brother said, I'm going in with the Raiders, and I think you should too. And I go, you know what? I'm fucking in on the Raiders. Mm-hmm. I've been a Raider fan since 1982. I was a Viking fan as a kid. They were 0-4 in Super Bowls. Next thing I know, the fucking Raiders crushed the Redskins. My team wins it. I knew I was going to marry my wife because I said on the radio that my favorite player as a kid was a guy named Van McElroy, who was the free safety on that team. I had the Nike poster as a kid, the no passing poster, and it had Lester Hayes, Mike Davis, Mike Haynes, and Van McElroy. I hope I'm not racist, but I was shocked by the fact there's one fucking white guy. And who was the white guy hanging with these dudes? And I love those guys, but McElroy became my favorite player. And I always loved the white Raider jersey. And I said one day on one of our old shows, they used to have a jersey shop at Fashion Valley, Don Coryell's Pro Shop.
Yep.
For some crazy unknown reason, they had a white Van McElroy Raider jersey there in my size. And I didn't get it. And I go, I don't know. Why wouldn't I? Like, who the fuck cares about Van McElroy? My wife was dating her at the time. Our first Christmas together, we go and get a hotel room at the Holiday Inn downtown, the circular one, right there that you see. And there's a tube. And I start to undo the tube, and I can tell it's a jersey. And I'm like, oh, fuck. And now, but
Can't you get me? What jersey?
And now it starts going back, and I see it's a Raider jersey. I'm like, oh, God, don't let it be fucking Randy Moss. Please don't let it be Randy Moss. And it's a goddamn Van McElroy jersey. She got it. And like, I knew it. But I was a Raider fan, and Hank Bauer, that dick, would say all the time to me and Dave, I don't know how we got 2 Raider fans on the... Shut up, Hank!
Shut the fuck up, Hank.
Stop your bullshit! Because he knew. But, so when I tell you it's all bullshit, take it from me.
It's fucking bullshit.
It's bullshit. Now, I will tell you this. John Spanos treated me great. A.G. Spanos treated me great. Dean treated me great. I had relationships with players, but I saw how they ran things, and I was not a fan of the organization. But I saw what they did to Weddle. I saw what they did to Rodney. I saw what they did to Junior. I saw what they did to Billy Devaney. I saw what they did to other guys, and I just fucking hated it.
Yeah.
I hated every part of it. But when I'm in a business relationship that bought me a house, by the way.
Yes.
It bought me a fucking house, so you can call me a cocksucker all you want. It bought me a house that I live in.
That you have your wife and your kids in.
My kids are in.
Yeah, exactly.
I would do it in the sense that when I went in every day, I would do a show, and I would think about my friendship at that time with Clinton Hart, because I loved Clinton Hart, or Weddle, or Darren Bennett. And I would do that show because the one thing that I'll tell you guys for a podcast is you're always doing a show for an audience of one. You're not doing it for the guy in London and there's 55,000 people listening to us in Moose Jaw. You're doing a show for one person. And for me, I would always say my audience of one today is Eric Weddle. Or it's not Rodney today. Because if I'm doing it for Rodney, I'm like, this team sucks. But I can't do it for Rodney today. And that's what you would do. You would do it for the audience of one. But I had so many conversations with Dean, with Bill Johnston, with AG, not so much AG, but
AG, not so much.
No, he was nice.
Yeah.
A nice kid. He's always been nice to me. They were not my team.
Yeah.
They were in my city. They're my wife's team. They're my kids' team. They were not my team. So it was very easy to me to say to Dean Spanos to his face in a commercial break, what you need to do is get a Mayflower truck here. This was 5 years ago. I said to him, and bring goddamn TVs to your house, but run it through this parking lot and scare this city awake because nobody is paying attention.
Nobody's paying attention.
I said, Dean, if I was you, I'd run a goddamn Mayflower truck through this parking lot every day, and I would call KFMB to be like, why are Mayflower trucks over there?
Yeah.
But they never could connect with this city.
No.
I
mean, you need...
They wouldn't go powder blue. Just go powder blue.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Don't redesign the power
jersey
blue.
thing.
But a lot of people also see, I have a different relationship with the whole thing, but people can feel, how the owners are treating the players. And when those get out, and it's hard to back that. And you hear these stories, and I mean, I've seen it firsthand personally, and with my buddies, and it's kind of fucking disgusting, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, Derek, they would argue back that Gates got paid and Rivers got paid and Weddle got paid, but there's too many guys that are on the other side of the fence. Rodney, Junior, Weddle, how it ended, where it was LT, how it ended.
Yep.
Just a disgusting breakup. Marty,
right?
How it ended.
That was
I mean,
bad. Well, Tolbert too.
God, another great dude.
Such a good dude.
Right?
The guy was in a fucking movie theater and didn't have his phone on him. And then
How about John Pagano?
Yeah.
Finds out on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, just shit. So that's the thing.
It's tough. I mean, and to be in a business, and that's always the thing with the NFL, right? It's always, oh, well, it's a business, and that's just the way that we have to do it. And it's the same a lot, probably in radio, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in radio, it's like, well, fuck, you're literally a transaction.
Well, the funny thing is today, there's bullshit about the billboards, and I appreciate you guys pulled up my Twitter account today. You know, we're the most bipolar. That's Dean Spanos reacting to the billboard right there. It's Woody Harrelson drying his tears with.
It's at Jeff Dotseth.
With $100 bills. That's
at
how I
Jeff
said.
Dotseth on
I
Twitter.
said distraught Dean Spanos reacts to the billboard story today. We're so Napoleon. We have such a Napoleon complex in this town. This idea that we celebrate this fucking sign guy is the most
fucking unbelievable.
And here's what's great about it,
Jesus.
right? The guy buys the fucking billboard on the southbound 405. Dean's coming from La Jolla, dumb
get the
shit.
fuck out of here.
He's
No
not
way.
going to see it. Is that the most Charger thing
Yes,
ever?
total Charger thing to
And
do.
then people are like, well, you know, he's going to hear about... He doesn't... You think he's going home to watch Carlo Cicchetto? He couldn't give less of a shit.
We were actually talking to Jim Trotter about that today. It's
Yeah.
like he's getting all this shit from, you know, his, what was it, this Twitter
Yeah,
that he had?
bunch of bullshit on Twitter. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
so-
And he's like, look, I don't care what you're saying to me, guys. It's not.
I don't care what your opinion is.
No.
Not,
That-
It doesn't affect me.
This is what I tell people on social media all the time, because my favorite thing to do is start shit with guys like Nick Cannon. I love kicking Nick right in the
Cannibal is
balls.
fantastic.
But I can kick Nick in the balls because Nick and I have been friends for 25 years.
Yes.
Trotter and I have been friends for 20 years. Hank Bauer and I, 25 years. At no point have we ever said in that 25-year friendship, you know, we would really like Dave Fan 5 to jump into this conversation because we're fucking drowning here.
right.
But on
Somebody help
social-
us out.
Somebody bailed me and Nick out.
That's so funny.
Because of two fucking smartasses
Right?
that are
It's essential.
25 years different in age. I fucking love that guy. He's the dumbest guy in the world, and I love Nick.
You're
friends.
You're publicly texting. Essentially,
Yes.
is what you're doing. You know, when I talk
Just
to
be
friends that
fly
aren't
on
on
the wall
Twitter,
and
they're like,
enjoy
I don't
it.
know what the fuck Twitter's about. I'm like, you're publicly texting.
Yeah.
But if I'm texting one of my friends, I'm talking shit, and I know exactly. They know who I am.
Yeah.
They know the context behind the
Yes.
tweet. Like, I don't need a third opinion from what the fuck you know, whoever you are.
Now, there are certain guys that we interact with that are really, really funny and then get it. And so today, when I ripped the sign guy thing, this dude that we follow who's Drunk Flannery, he's been Drunk Flannery for like 3 years. He said to me, he goes, well, won't he see it going home? And I said, no, you dumb shit. I go, it's up north of the stadium. He drives to the stadium. He turns around and goes home. He doesn't see it. And I said, I expect stupid shit all day, but not out of you. And he wrote back, okay, I'm not good with geography. I'm sorry. And I'm just dying.
That's awesome.
Because you go, okay, here's a guy that gets it.
Sure.
Where I'm like, you dumb shit.
Well, it's like us giving CS shit. You know, I
Exactly.
love CS. CS
Exactly.
he's a brother to us. I mean, we're a fight night crew because of Twitter. That's
Yeah.
how you were on the show. You had
Yes.
Jim Trotter on your show.
Yeah.
You were talking about the autobiography of Junior Seau.
Yeah.
You were talking about how you guys used to go, and you and CS and
Yeah.
Dave and you guys would go and enjoy fight night at Seau's.
Yeah.
And like that's what and I'm sitting listening to it, and I sent out a tweet because you had already seen that we were showing the fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, if you guys want, you're more
The
than
best.
welcome. Let's get a table set up and let's have fight night. That started a friendship that, you know, now I spend time with Jim Trotter, you know, like family.
All right, so I wrote, okay, Dave Palais, help me out. Aren't the signs on the southbound 405, doesn't Dino still live in La Jolla? He'll never see him. To which my man Drunk Flannery wrote, is he going to drive back home? And I said, it's north of the stadium. Damn it, DF. I expect stupid shit like this, but not from you. And he wrote, sorry, I'm not up on my LA geography. I won't disappoint you again. Which just strikes me so
No,
great.
it's
It's like,
fucking
I love it.
fantastic.
but if you go back and look at one other thing and why I should really be here, God damn it, guys, I cleaned up my Weber Spirit.
Right? You did. He sent out a
Nice.
tweet. He cleaned up his Weber Spirit.
If you go back and find, I love my Weber grill.
Yes.
I hope we could get some time to talk
Absolutely.
barbecue.
We can
Fuck yeah,
definitely.
we can do it right now.
All right. So
Let's go.
for me,
There she is.
there it is.
There she is.
Okay, now I'll tell you how hardcore I got the other
So the
day.
one thing you do need that's not in this photo is grill grates.
That's what you keep telling me.
I'm not
We'll give you
fucking
some of that.
around. Yeah, we're not fucking around with grill grades.
You're the best.
Seriously,
It's my birthday tomorrow.
That's
Pick
the
me up.
boom
Yeah.
done.
So here's how hardcore I went on my Weber Spirit. Which, by the way, I'll say this to anybody who's a single guy. When you are marrying somebody, you are marrying the family. That was a gift to me from my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. That's
Really?
how fucking great they are. And it's the second grill they bought me in
That's
my
fantastic.
12 years together with my wife. That's how...
So you want to know something?
Yeah.
My father-in-law, who just left yesterday back to Bulgaria, him and I built a Weber Spirit on our fucking balcony because...
Well, why? Why couldn't you?
Well, first we built a Weber charcoal grill. And the charcoal grill, we smoked out the HOA, and they sent us they sent me a letter saying, "Hey, you can't have a fucking charcoal grill."
Come on, dude! What is there a better smell in the world?
No, so we built. So we built two. We built two barbecues, and the second one was actually a Weber Spirit. He doesn't speak a word of English. I don't speak any Bulgarian, but we went through that fucking manual. We built that goddamn thing. We built that fucking thing ourselves, and it was fantastic.
All right, I went. So I not only cleaned everything inside, but I went down below. I cleaned the catch pan yesterday. The foil comes out, but you forget that it's a flimsy little foil catch pan which drops below, and my son is like, "What is going on there?" He's like, "Is that mud?" We spit shine that thing.
There you go.
My Spirit is buffed out. I love it.
We'll get those grill grates on there, and you're gonna fucking...
No, I'm telling you, I don't know if there's a better grill. We talk about this a lot.
Yeah.
Than Weber's. What they do,
totally agree.
The Weber Smoky Mountain for like a smoker.
Yeah.
Not the most expensive, not the most commercial, but puts out some of the best barbecue you can ever have.
Now you can't
These
see
little spirits. They're phenomenal.
You can't see, but directly behind my Spirit, I should have. Goddamn, I'm not even thinking. You can see my backup propane tank there to the left.
I like it.
So I'm good to go. My other motorcycle seat, but directly behind my Spirit, my wife bought me the tabletop Weber charcoal grill.
Yeah.
If we go charcoal,
Yep.
so it's the tabletop
Boom.
one
Done.
that you're set. But
How's your HOA with charcoal?
they're, for as much shit as they bitch about, and I fire that baby up, man.
Good.
That Weber goes, and you can smell it everywhere, and
Good.
nobody complains. But I love it, man. I started grilling probably in high school, and I was telling you, I mean, that was the day when it was charcoal, and you start with burgers, and then you start to experiment. And Derek, maybe you remember this. I said this to Sean the other day, and he looked at me like I was insane. But I bought this thing, and I swear to God, I probably bought it at Rite Aid. But it was one of those late night TV commercials, and it was a three-part tin thing that came together, and it was like a ring. It looked like if you took the Stanley Cup and flipped it up. No, it wasn't for charcoal. You would put these 3 rings in, and it had a grill. It's so funny. You would load up the bottom with newspaper. You would load up the bottom. Think about how much goddamn chemicals we cooked in, right?
Right. Totally.
But you would get like a Sunday paper.
You put Kevin Acey's articles in there?
God, yeah, I hated it. But you would burn newspaper in the bottom of this thing, and it would fire up, and it had a little grill. We would do shit like that. But then you start to experiment, and we started to experiment with brats, and where you would...
Right.
And you figured out, you said, okay, for me, like, we love hot link sausages. So I'll just take an old school, old Milwaukee. My kids are always watching. They're like, what are you doing? I go, you know what? Just experiment. And I'll just take a stovetop, right? And we'll take a saute pan, and I'll take a 24-ounce tall boy old Milwaukee. It goes in, and I throw my links in there because they turn white.
Yeah.
And as soon as they turn white, then I keep them in there by another 5-6 minutes. I just keep them moving, rotating them around. And then I bring them out onto the grill. I swear to God, I feel like a guy in a garage band telling Keith Moon how to play drums. But it's the dumbest thing ever. But this is just what I love it. And we would take it, and it crackles, and it goes, and they're
the best part about barbecue is all you have to do is try. Like, all you have to do is try.
But I'll tell
seriously, you just have to fucking try. You got to turn on the grill. And you don't even have to fucking try. You just got to try it. Go out and eat it.
But here's where things change, Sean. Where things change is when you get married.
Yes.
Because when you're a single guy and you can throw the brat on and you throw the burger on, and goddamn, that's a little bit more medium rare than I would have liked it. Fuck it. We'll just get another beer. But now your wife's like, oh, hey, you got this nice grill. I'm going to go out to Valley Market. I'm going to find some ribeyes. And you're like, What'd that run you? Well, it was incredibly affordable at Valley Market,
Right.
but it cost you here. Goddamn, dude, that's some pressure on you.
Right.
Now you got a little pressure on you. And I say this to Palais all the time. I go, there's not a bigger bullshit line than when you're trying to determine, okay, I like it medium or I like it medium well. This bullshit with the thumb and the wrist, I'm like, you're asking me to put my thumb on a hot grill. On meat on a hot grill because part of my arm is going to get burned. Screw you. So what I determined was my best friend, if I'm cooking steaks on my grill, is the stopwatch feature on my thumb.
Yep.
And I'm 7:30 and I'm 7:30 and it's a one flip and it's a little bit of Lowry's, it's a little bit of
And that's for a medium.
Yep.
Yep.
That's where we go. And they come off.
This guy makes the best fucking steak in the world.
I guarantee you, dude, I could tell right now. But I foil tent it, and I foil tent it for about 5 minutes. And our other thing that we do is we just get fresh corn on the cob.
Mm-hmm.
We put 2 big wedges of butter in the foil with it. We salt and pepper it up. We tie them up. We put them on that grill, and then we probably do that for about 15 minutes. And then we'll pull them off and just rotate them, just the straight corn. Telling you guys, man,
Money.
it's just for me, for my wife, and my
Sure.
2 dork kids. It works. Sean, I have no future working at Cali Comfort. I couldn't work here at Valley. But my buddy Palais has a gorgeous grill, and he's terrified of it. It's like having a motorcycle that you're scared to ride.
We're gonna get Dave the proper.
No, we'll go hook him up
yeah,
for sure.
for sure.
Yeah, he
Because
just doesn't want to screw it up.
Yeah,
he'll
you
say
say
you.
7.5 and 7.5 because the way we were taught it was 8 and 6.
Oh,
like
nice.
Like you're 86th.
Yeah.
You're done.
So you're cut off.
For a medium.
Medium rare.
Okay, now I got a wife who's a little bit more
Yeah, that's why you
towards the
said
medium.
7.5. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit longer, so you're probably closer to medium.
Yeah, because she's more to the medium, and that's the thing, man. When you're cooking it, my wife's really chill, but she's getting different now. Like if you go to Ruth's Chris, or if we come out to Cali and she's getting a burger, I've always told her, I said, the more well done you get, the more you're defeating the purpose of having a burger, and having a really good steak. You're just defeating not like defeating it by putting A1 on it, but
whoa.
but you know what I mean? I mean, you can't put A1 on a super steak. You just can't do that. But that's it. You want it to be right for her because there's nothing more heartbreaking than when somebody says, "Hey, can we put this back on the grill for a few minutes?" Because it's been under the foil tent, man. I'm like, shit, I can't. The toothpaste is out of the tube.
Right.
But other things
before we wrap up, we would be very remiss not to get some boxing information from you. From
absolutely.
Canelo and Triple G.
I'm sorry.
Give us a breakdown.
All right.
What's
and let
happening?
me come back because I want to learn how
Fight
to.
Night is something that we talk about, as a sports entertainment restaurant. We decide to do Fight Night, and I brought all of our lawsuits because we've been sued for illegally showing the fights.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We almost went out of business, actually, in 2009 because we got sued 3 times for basically thinking that no one would give a fuck that we were playing getting the residential feed. So when people, when people ask, well, why are you charging $35 for the McGregor Mayweather fight? And it's costing us a shitload of money. Multiply that by our occupancy, and that's what it's costing us to host this fight.
I'll just say this. My background is I covered 75 world title fights. I loved it so much I became a licensed judge for USA Boxing, and I've judged.
How does that take? How long does that take?
Just filled out an application and background check, make sure I wasn't Uncle Pervy, and then I've done about.
And you passed?
I did when I left. I did for just under 3 years, and I have over 300 amateur fights that I judged.
Wow,
that's so
and
rad.
my success rate was at about 94%, meaning the guy that I judged for the fight won the fight, which is funny too because the way I judged the Mayweather fight, where I had Mayweather winning the first 4. Floyd coming back winning 5, 6, 7. I gave 8 to Conor, 9 and 10 to Floyd. A guy that I like a lot, Dave Meltzer, who writes an MMA newsletter, said of 25 guys polled, 19 of them had it the exact way that I had it. So I was pretty stoked when I saw that. So here's what I'll tell you about this fight.
Did you think it was fucked up, the other judges, their scorecards?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Dude,
it's embarrassing.
Insane.
Totally
You're
embarrassing.
fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
They gave him 1 round?
No, bullshit.
Get the fuck out of here.
Bullshit. And so if you follow me on Twitter, I'm hoping
that's one of the best things. Is
we'll be there at Cali.
Watching you work on fight night because you're actually scoring
I'm judging
as
it.
you would.
Yeah, and I lay it out there, and we've been okay.
Absolutely.
Here's what I'll tell you. A lot of people are making the comparison that this fight Saturday night is going to be really, really fun. But I think they're making the wrong comparison. People keep saying Hagler-Hearns. I don't believe it's Hagler-Hearns. I believe much more that it's Hearns-Leonard, because my feeling is if I'm Canelo's trainer, there's no way I'm going to let Canelo go in there and try to trade bombs with Triple G and take a chance. I think Canelo's going to go in and try to outbox him. I think he's going to try to counterpunch him. And I think he may hope that Triple G slows down in the later rounds. I don't know that he does. But my feeling is Triple G is going to be the guy looking for home runs, and Canelo is going to be looking for Triple G to make a mistake that he can take advantage of and just rack up points and try to get out of there with a 115, 112 win. I would highly emphasize, if it's not Hagler-Hearns, which was 3 rounds of, I'm going to try to take your head off and you're trying to take my head off. Right. I think Triple G loves that approach. Triple G's like, dude,
I think he wins if that's what
I agree with you completely, Derek. I think Triple G's like, let's go right to the center of the ring and let's see what you got and I'll see what I got. I did 2.5 years covering MMA for Dan Henderson. I met a guy named Scott Coker who now runs Bellator. I'll never forget what Scott Coker told me the first day I met him. He said, Jeff, here's something you need to know about MMA. You're new to the business. In this industry, it's better to lose a great fight than win a boring fight. And Triple G buys into that. Triple G is like, fuck it, let's go. That's why you see guys like Clay Guida on so many UFC cards.
He's still there.
Dude, long hair, and he's going to be winging.
He's going to go.
Right.
And nobody's going to care if Clay Guida gets knocked out at the end because you're just going to go, God damn, I love the Carpenter.
Right.
He's in every fight. But you watch other guys, John Fitch, and you're like, he sucks. Stop putting this guy in cards. He sucks.
Yeah. I love Fitch just because I'm a wrestler, but yeah, I get it. It's boring as fuck to watch it.
My boy Hendo. That's why I worked with Dan. And if Dan got beat, people still loved him because it was fun while it lasted.
I'm
Go ahead.
Fascinated at what you think the current state of UFC and boxing is.
I think
after what just happened and where we are today.
Yeah,
what does UFC have?
I think
to do?
UFC's in trouble.
Yeah,
because I think UFC oversaturated when they got the Fox deal. When they got the Fox deal, we were doing an MMA radio show, me and Steven Quadros. And I raised the point on that day. I said, are you oversaturating the market? Because what you're doing by putting 52 shows on a year, you've lost the must-see element to the UFC. I don't need to see this fight on Saturday night. They have Luke Rockhold fighting David Branch, which is a great fight, for free on Saturday night. And it's up against Canelo and Triple G. It's going to be completely lost. But then the other night, they got Ray Borg and Demetrius Johnson. You can't put Rockhold. That's what I'm saying, Sean. They've oversaturated the market.
And Borg pulled out.
And when Borg pulls out and you're stuck with Amanda Nunes in the main event, where you don't go, you go, shit, if I'm Cali Comfort, I'm not buying that. But if Rockhold's on there and you go, all right, I don't know much about David Branch, but he's been in fun fights. And I know Rockhold's always fun. They've oversaturated the market. And I think, too, a lot of it is it may not be the cool thing anymore.
Yeah.
The cool kids kind of look at it. It was really, really badass for a while.
We've talked about it. The only reason that we show fights, I mean, the first UFC fight that we showed at Cali Comfort was UFC 100.
Oh, yeah. When Hendo knocked out Mike Bisping.
Absolutely. And since then, before we were on a run, I mean, we probably did 50 in a row. Yeah. Guaranteed that we would show them. And then all of a sudden we realized that exactly what you said, Fox, they made their deal. And we decided, hey, we can't have a fight that we pay, close to $1,500 to host this fight, and we only get half the restaurant full. It's got to fucking pack the restaurant.
I wouldn't be shocked if somewhere down the line they do the business plan that the WWE did. And what the WWE did was they pulled all of their products off of pay-per-view. You pay $9.99 a month, you get what is called the WWE Network. They do original programming, but all of their shows, whether it's SummerSlam or WrestleMania.
Well, they have a Fight Pass right now, right?
They have Fight Pass, but I wouldn't be shocked, Eric, to see everything just go there and eliminate the middleman, eliminate DirecTV and Spectrum, and just say, hey, come be here, give us $10, we make all the dough, and see if that's not the way.
I mean, I can imagine. I don't buy every pay-per-view, but I'd pay $10 a month.
Yeah, right. and you never look at it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You just
And then
it's
we'd
like
have
an auto
we'd have
pay.
a commercial
Yeah.
tier for the restaurant, and
And
then
all
we
the-
would pay that.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they go, okay, Derek, you paid 120. We got 120 out of you. All right, you probably buy a handful of pay-per-views, but if we got 120 out of Corey and 120 out of Jeff that don't buy a lot of pay-per-views
Yeah.
or go to Cali,
Well,
it starts to
that-
add up, and I don't have to split my dough with DirecTV and Dish Network and everybody else.
And if they came up with a flex pricing model
Yeah.
for commercial businesses,
Yeah.
kind of the same way that, finally the fucking
Sure.
NFL is deciding
Yeah.
that, hey, a preseason game shouldn't be the same price as a Sunday night football game.
Yeah.
Reward the people that are actually paying for it,
Yeah.
for all the fights.
Well, now Connor's done for 2016. John Jones gets busted again for PEDs.
Dude, what a fucking
Right?
I just can't believe that.
So now
Especially
you,
as the sample B came out too, and it's
Yeah,
fucking
positive.
You're just like, fuck. Dude.
so now Cormier gets the belt back, and while you look at it, you go, okay, he lost to a guy who's on PEDs. There's still the average casual fan that's like, dude, that's a guy who got the shit beat out of him by John Jones.
100%.
Yeah.
And you go, Stipe Miocic is the heavyweight champion, and people are like, excuse me? What'd you just fucking say?
Yeah.
And he's a fucking murderer,
Exactly.
and people don't even know who he is.
No, and there's a guy fighting this weekend, Mike Pyle, who just, or not Mike Pyle, Mike Perry is a guy fighting. It takes guys' heads off. Yeah. You 1 out of 10 people will see it because we're watching Triple G and Canelo. Boxing will always be around because you're going to find these fights. It may be 2 years in between, but you'll find it.
But when they hit, like, because we marketed ourselves as a fight night destination. I mean, when we went down to go see Gene and to bring, barbecue down to Sharp to feed the nurses.
Yeah.
We were talking to the nurses. One nurse, she never been to the restaurant. She's like, Cali Comfort. Oh, you guys
The
are
greatest.
you guys are the place that shows the fights.
Love it.
She's never been there.
You're the best
but,
fight bar in San Diego.
Because we made ourselves a destination and we paid those prices. It becomes a great place, and there's nothing like an
family
electric.
vibe.
There's
You
nothing
feel like
like an
you're friends.
there's nothing like an electric fight night.
No, I love
When
it.
the fucking place is packed, I mean, there's nothing like it.
Here's the final word, in my opinion. I'm not sure. I grew up loving Mexican fighters. I couldn't be more of a white guy, but the guys that I loved as a kid were Salvador Sanchez, Tweety Davila, Bobby Chacon, Carlos Zarate. These were the guys that I fucking loved. I'm mind blanking the guy, Pepino Cuevas. Guys that just came out to take your head off. I don't know that Canelo has that gene. I don't know. I think Canelo maybe after losing the way he lost to Mayweather as a younger fighter, I'm not 100% convinced that Bobby Chacon did not give a shit. We
Yeah.
are going to fight, and if you knock me out, fuck you. I'll fight you again after I wake up, and then I'll fight you again. I'll fight you again.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced that Canelo has that gene.
Well, if he has that gene and he shows it, it'll be one fucking hell of a
I
fight.
still, but don't get me wrong, Sean. I don't think it's going to be a bad fight. I think it's going to be a really, really fun fight. But it may be more of a style fight than people are expecting. I heard De La Hoya saying this thing's going to be an all-out war.
Yeah,
De La Hoya,
it's gonna be 9 rounds, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
an all-out war.
Shit.
He's just so far behind the 8 ball.
but I'll tell you this. There's a dude that probably doesn't get enough credit. When
Yeah.
you look at what De La Hoya did,
Oh, for boxing. for
goddamn
sure.
right?
Yeah.
He fought everybody. Ike Quartet. He went out and fought Trinidad.
He was
fought
like
Mosley.
McGregor.
Fought Hopkins.
Put him in
Yeah.
front of me.
Yeah.
Put him in front of me. I'll fight him.
Fernando Vargas, dude, the Ruelas brothers, he fought and Oscar, even though he loves those fishnets, man, goddamn, Oscar had that thing that I'm talking about with Bobby Chacon
Yeah.
and Salvador Sanchez and the rest, Pepino Cuevas, where it was like, fuck you,
Right.
let's go see who's going to be the mano a mano. Duran, a different kind of style. But I'll take Triple G. I think it's going to be an entertaining fight, but I would just say temper expectations of Hagler Hearns. I would say I see more Hearns Leonard, which was a fantastic fight.
Yeah.
But it went 15 rounds, and Ray Leonard won it in the later rounds. He wouldn't have won if it went 12. That's my pick on. I can't wait to be a Cali Comfort with my boy Dave Ballet.
Dave,
Celebrating birthday weekend,
fuck
Mexican
yeah,
Independence
that's right.
weekend.
That's right. That's a
Bum,
big.
ba,
That's,
bum, bum, ba, bum, bum, ba, bum, bum.
you know how we do it in San Diego. We like to celebrate. But seriously, it's been fucking awesome.
Thank
to,
you guys
to really
so much.
spend some
Definitely
time with
appreciate it,
you.
man. Thank you so
Anytime you
much.
need me.
Yeah, it's been.
I got to learn how to cook shark on the grill.
We're
So-
gonna give you some pointers. We're gonna be planning a cooking class too. That
Oh,
we'll
come on.
we'll have some seats for you and Dave.
Dave doesn't
It'll
know how
be
to do
later.
shit.
But
We'll teach 'em.
anybody that's in San Diego, make it out for fight night. Come say what's up to Jeff. Follow Jeff Dotseth on Twitter. Also download their podcast, Dave and Jeff podcast. It's the reason
Subscribe.
it's one of the reasons we started this podcast. Nothing but truth and lots of fucking hilarious stories, which is what makes podcasting so great.
I've been in a lot of rooms, boys, doing radio shows. Congrats on this. This is really cool. I
Thank
like
you.
it, man. It
Thank
looks
you.
good. Yeah,
Thank you.
I like that
Well,
Kansas State Bill Snyder flag.
well,
too.
There you
Nothing
go.
wrong with that.
For somebody that's been in the business, booking huge
Blowjobs
guests
for
as
tickets,
well as
huh?
Goddamn
Goddamn, Ernie Hahn.
Oh fuck, Ernie Hahn.
That's ridiculous.
All right.
Oh, my God.
You hooked me. That's a tease.
Oh,
boys.
yeah, blowjobs
That's
for
how
tickets.
You do it, Dave. You caught on quick.
We're working on that marketing part. But yeah, thanks for following us. Tweet at us anytime. Hit us up. We got stickers, and we want to see you guys. Barbecue festivals coming up. We're going to get those sign up forms. Amateur barbecue contest November 5th. SV BBQ Fest. Do not miss it. Be there. And we'll catch you guys next time.